Hello there, this is Jason, and I have to say I'm thankful for another opportunity to kind of have a video. And this time, this is butchering a beef. We had the Homestead come out, and we had a wonderful time, had family, had friends there, and you'll see several folks showed up. This book right here is a book I recommend. It helps you in every process, from dispatching, skinning, cooling, cutting up the meat. It's just a wonderful book, and I recommend it to anybody that's going to try to butcher their own beef. And these are the tools that we'll kind of have for this process. We got a 22 Magnum, we got a sharpening steel, some skinning knives, we got one stiff boning knife to cut around stuff, and then a large knife to cut the animal with. We got a sawzall, a stainless steel blade, and we have these 4x4s. And the way I skin is off the ground. It's called from the cradle. We'll lay them 4x4s on each side of the cow, and it'll keep it held up. You'll see in just a little bit. Some folks skin from the rail. I skin from the ground. It's easier for me. This is my gambrel. I had a man from mine in town weld this for me, and I've got different holes for different size beef, so I can work my way out if I need to. This beef right here is going to be a big one, over 1,200 pounds. Right here we are. We're getting ready to shoot the beef. This is a hard process, but it's something that's got to be done. And I've got around. I'm looking head on the beef, and I'm going to make a shot to stun the animal. And I use a 22 Magnum. And right here is a visual aid, just kind of talking about what's kind of required and what you might have to stun a beef. And it's got you different options. But with me, I use a 22 Magnum. I've had success with the 6 or 7 beefs that I've been able to kill. It's just been one shot, and that's wonderful. What you're going to try to do is make a shot from the eyes to the base of the horns, making an intersection, and you're just going to shoot head on, facing the animal. And you're shooting at something a little bigger than a baseball, so you got a little bit of leeway. And when you shoot the animal, it'll hit the ground hard. And the way I cut the animal is for the jugular vein. I'm going to make a deep cut right behind its jaws. But some people will cut the carotid artery, and that's where they slice right there at the neck, and they reach in and cut right above the heart. But with me, I cut right behind the jaw. I cut all the way across, so I get the jugular on both sides. And right here you can see me bend over. The animal's stunned. It's laying on its side, and I reach down with my knife. I just make a deep cut, and the blood will just come pouring out as the animal's still alive. This cutting right here is what actually dispatches the animal. And now the animal's bled out, and we try to put it on its back, and that's where the 4x4s come in. We'll lay a 4x4 and lift it up on its stomach, and you kind of turn the cow downhill, the beef, and set the 4x4 on the other side, and then it'll kind of stand straight up there. The next part we'll do, once you've got it on its back and stuff, you're going to go around and leg the animal. And what that is just going to the animals, and you're going to cut in the joint and bring off the legs. If you're lucky, you can hit the joint, it'll come right off, but I have saws all there to kind of cut. That's kind of easier for me. And here on the back leg, we're trying to stay in front of the leg. If you see where I'm cutting at, I'm cutting there for a reason. I'm trying to save that tendon that's going down the back of that leg, because that's what we're going to hang it by right there. So you don't want to cut no further back than that right there. It'd be better to go the other way. And this is just called legging the animal. You're going to get this all removed for you, and then you can start skinning. So the first thing you're going to do is leg the animal, and that's what this is right here. Now once you've got the animal legged, you're going to go around and start your skinning. What I usually do is go to the front and I'll split it up to the top of its brisket from the neck down. And then I like to go to this back. Right here's what needs to be skinned out first, in my opinion. And just want to take your time. Like I said, you don't want to cut that tendon right there. I have messed up and cut it, and it's just aggravating. You end up having to tie something around the top of that leg and use it on your gambrel. So just take your time right there, score the hide, and just kind of skin around it. And you'll see what I do here. I'm just skinning it back, exposing that leg. And I find it best to go to all the way around and skin each leg out. And then just kind of let folks sort of jump in there and skin. As you can see, we've got 7 or 8 people there that's here for this, and folks come out and support us, and some folks just enjoy it. It brings back memories of when they was younger and stuff. And like I said, get your legs started, and then just let folks skin. And you're gonna get to see my nephew Gus is skinning here in a little bit, and I like that. I hope old Gus will continue to enjoy himself doing this, and he enjoys the hogs, and I hope he'll enjoy doing beefs and stuff. And Lord willing, in 7 or 8 more years, he might be the one kind of doing all this and me just sort of standing around. And you can see right here, my hand was through that tendon right there, and that's right where the gambrel hook's going to go. And then you just go over to the other leg and repeat the process. And like I said, I'm just trying to expose the leg. I want to make sure I'm the one that does the skinning there, and nothing kind of gets cut that shouldn't. A lot of folks knows how to skin, but maybe they might cut that tendon and it just causes more work. So I just take my time, kind of go from leg to leg and expose each leg kind of, as I think it should. And the whole thing I like to say is enjoy yourself. Just take your time, get this done right, do it however you want to do it, but just enjoy it. This is something I've done 6 or 7 times, like I said, and this was something I thought was an impossibility. And after reading several books, watching several videos, I just got confident enough to try it, and when I did, I was able to do it. And I'd encourage anybody that wanted to try to do it to just kind of watch this and hope it'll increase your confidence. But with the 6 or 7 I done, I found it best to expose these legs first, as you're going to see right here. And just kind of open them up and just try to stress not to cut that tendon, because it'll cause you work later that you don't need. Now once you've got the legs skinned out and stuff, you're going to finish that line that I made to the top of the brisket. I'm going to take it all the way through, right down here to the belly of the beef. And as you can see, they've kind of jumped in and started skinning, and several folks there, so I just didn't let them skin, enjoy themselves. And all you're doing is just pulling back on the hide and skinning, trying to skin as close as you can, and just bring the hide off. What we're doing is trying to bring that cape off on each side of them 4x4s. And what we'll do is we'll skin like this and just try to lay it off as much as we can, and then we'll hook the gambrel to it, and you'll see we'll hook the tractor to it, and I'll lift the beef as I need to and kind of work everything up as I do. And I've exposed the back legs, got it skint down, about like you want. And now I'm working my way up toward the brisket part, and we're skinning there. And I tell you what, I like seeing old Gus up there. He's got his knife out, and he's a skinning on that neck there, and just bringing the hide off of it. So hopefully this will be the first of many beasts he'll be bringing the hide off of. But just kind of skin, and just like you see me running that knife, just kind of run it as close as you can, trying to keep as much meat on the beef as you can. And just take your time, and like I said, you're skinning it to the ground as low as we can get it, and then we'll put it on the gambrel and lift it a little bit and skin a little more. And you'll kind of see we're going to learn a valuable lesson in this video about trying to get this beef on a level ground, and we'll all have a good lesson here in just a little bit that I hope everybody will remember. Now finishing up right here, we're getting about as much as we can do on this side, and Keith's skinning on the other side, and you can see he's kind of stooped over, and he's skint down about as low as he can. So you get to a point right here where you need to put it on the gambrel and lift it a little bit, and then you'll skin the hide in the back there and work around. And you can see I'm reaching up under the belly, so that's about when you went as far as you can go. I'm over here helping Gus on the neck. He's kind of finishing up on that neck, and we've had some more company pull up. Some folks come to look at my cooler, but just kind of skinning, getting what you can right here, and we're getting ready to get in the process started where we're going to hook it to the gambrel. But there's some things we want to do before we put it on the gambrel. While it's on its back, we're going to want to cut open the breastplate right there while it's on its back, and you'll see me in just a little bit. I'll walk around kind of thinking we're as low as we can go. Gus is kind of working on that neck, and Keith's kind of touching stuff here around on this upper side. And I'm going to go get my saws on a little bit, and I'll come down here and I'm going to cut that breastplate open while it's on its back. And then we'll get the gambrel, and that'll kind of be us stepping up to the next part of this process, and that'll be skinning the rest of the back down. And you'll see once you kind of got it like we've got, it skins a whole lot faster going down that back. And you'll see me walking up here in a minute. I'm going to score the breastplate with a knife, and then I'll saw through this breastplate. And I'll just let you know the heart and lungs, they're down in there, so there's nothing really you can hit while it's laying on its back like that. I've come around here and I'm finishing this cut right here. This is, I kind of want to do this before I lift it any, because once I start lifting the animal, all the guts and stuff slide down toward this breastplate, and then you'd have to be real cautious not to make a cut, or you'd open up one of the stomachs, and we don't want none of that. We just want to kind of take our time and cut this out. Now, you don't see it right here, but I've also scored the neck some. Down where the esophagus is, I've scored it some. So I'd recommend you, before you put it on the gambrel, try to cut that breastplate open and score around that esophagus down there in the neck. Just kind of open it up to where when you gut it, all that'll come out together. And right here, we're going to hook it to the gambrel and just kind of lift it just a little bit. This is enough to just get us to start skinning some more. And I believe it's the next time when we lift it, I'll give you another great lesson that we all need to remember about lifting beefs with Kubota tractors. Now you just want to lift it just a little bit this first time. We're just wanting to skin down past the bung right here, and you'll see we're going to kind of get the tail kind of skinned out and down on the back, and then we'll lift it the rest of the way. But I like seeing old Gus jump in there and start skinning. He didn't have to be told to. He just went over there and started. Now once you've skinned down past the tail a little bit right here, we're wanting to expose this bung. And as you can see right here, I'm just cutting around it. I'm just going to try to break it loose, and it runs down the back of that spine, so it's kind of catching right there. And I just want to have it loose, so whenever I do gut it, I can bring it right out of it. And take your sawzall, and you're just going to saw straight down through this H-bone, and that'll separate the back legs there. Kind of all you're doing is just open it up to be able to gut it here in just a second. And we're getting ready to come up on a very important lesson about being on level ground when lifting 1,200-pound beefs. And nothing happened, but this will be a valuable lesson for you right here. And you can see I'm just sawing straight down. Since I've lifted the animal some, the guts have kind of slid down, so I ain't got to worry about hitting nothing there. I'm just sawing straight down until I open up this H-bone. We've slowed it down right here some, so you can kind of see what happens, but we're getting ready to lift this beef up, and we're putting all the weight of this beef onto this tractor. And you can't really tell it, but the tractor is leaning down the hill some. So it's just minus the head and minus the feet right now. And as I step off the tractor with the bucket up there, it's going to lift the back wheel of this tractor. And you're going to kind of see here, I grab the tractor there. Some people run off. That's what that is. The tractor's tilted over. And quick action by some folks, they jump on the back tar there and get it right back down. But this is just something, a lesson. I'll just tell you, get on level ground. Don't lift it any bit down the hill, especially a huge beef like this. So we had to pull the beef back to try to get us in a level spot to where we could lift it and not have no trouble. And I will say, once we get the guts out of it, that's a lot of weight gone and stuff. But you can see we pulled it back here in the level ground. The hide's under it. So skinning it on the ground there, I'm able to pull it back. I didn't hurt anything. And then we'll lift it on up here and we'll bring off the tail and stuff. All right, now we got it lifted up and we're just going to kind of skin here, trying to remove the tail here. I got a friend that's going to take this tail, and he'd eat some oxtail, and he was wanting to do this beef. And I reckon it done good for him. Him and his uncle cooked it up, and his uncle, he was a senior chief in the Navy, and he just about can cook anything. He real good cook, and he's going to take this oxtail or beef tail and cooks it up. And I reckon they cook it for hours on a real slow cook, and how they talk, it's real good. I had never eaten one, but one of these days I'll eat one. Maybe Senior Chief will invite me down one of these days. But Keith here that's working with me, he thinks he knows why says I'm going to have to get a bigger tractor here, and you'll kind of see we enjoy ourselves working together. And these boys right here, I work with them all the time, butchering stuff. They come over and we have a good time. But you're going to get to hear Keith's got an opinion of what I might need to do, not to keep my tractor from tilting over. But then his brother David has another solution, and I kind of like David's solution. And we'll have a little voiceover come here.
Yeah, ain't heavy enough. I don't say I was listening to them big deal.
Bringing smaller beef, shouldn't you? You just have to start bringing smaller beef, shouldn't you?
David's got a solution. Bring smaller beefs. Now they've skinned the back down all the way down below the shoulders there, and I've got this tail skinned out, and we're going to cut it out. And there's a joint back in there probably closer to the back of the beef, but I just took my sawzall and clipped it off. And like I said, they ended up cutting it there at them joints and cooking it for hours, and they said it was real good. I worked with Jacob, and he said it was real good. I believe he cut like half of it, and then his uncle cooked the other half. All right, now I got that out of the way, I'm going to cut that bung loose a little bit right there. And all I done is just kind of scored it to where when I'm going to go gutting it, I can reach up in there and bring all that out. And like I said, we're getting ready to lift it up now and kind of finish everything up, and then we'll moving on toward our gutting process. And right there, they're finishing up on the neck, and they're letting old Gus make the last cuts there. And he's getting her cut. He's a little light with his cuts, but right there, he finishes up the skinning, and right there is skinning a beef. And like I said, I do it from the ground. That works best for me. And now I've started right in on the gutting part. I'm just reaching up in there and scoring on each side of that bung. I've done cut it on one side, and I'm just going to kind of release all this in a little bit, you'll see, and it'll all just kind of fall out. And I got a big white tub that I put the beef entrails in, and I can use wash tubs for the hogs, but with the beef, there's so much guts, you about got to have your 50-gallon tub like I got right there, and I just got a white barrel, you see it there, and we'll work the guts down in it and then haul them off. I get my knife and I just press my fist in against that stomach and I have my knife pointed out this way. You can see I just work it down to that breastplate. And a beef's guts are so heavy, it just about works them right out. You just got to barely score them any. And you got these stomachs right here, as they come out, it just less and less weight on that carcass. And you can see I'm just reaching up there and scoring along the back of the backbone. That's what all that's kind of caught on, against the spine. And I'm going to score on each side of it. And then I'm going to reach up in there with my hand real firm and give it a pull. And all that's just going to kind of pull out. And you let it fall out, and you'll see it here. It'll fall out the stomach will, and it'll expose the liver. And I like to try to do the liver as it's on top of the entrails. And you'll see I find this best. Where I'm putting in this white tub, I can't retrieve it back out. And you'll see when it flops out here, we keep it on top, and then I bring the liver out. And you can see the liver, it's kind of easing out of there. And we got somebody that's going to take the liver and stuff. And David's taking it. He loves hog liver, and beef liver is a little different, but he's going to take it. So you want to see we kind of drop it out of here, and the first thing I do is bring that gall off. So it's just like a hog liver. You want to remove that gall, and we'll slide our knife up under it and cast it down into the guts. And you don't want to get that gall on none of your liver, or it's ruined. So you just kind of take your time, kind of score up under it, cut into your liver there, and just kind of open it up. And what I do, I get Keith to reach down in here, and he just gets a hold of that. And there's tissue that's joining that to the back of the guts there, and you just kind of score it, and it'll bring it up out of there, and then I trim it up, and then that's a beef liver. And I like to see stuff being used like that. A lot of times it gets thrown out, and but these folks like beef liver, and I'm happy to be able to give it to them. All right, got the liver out of the way, so we're just going to work on down bringing the guts on out. Like I said, it's just hooked right there to the back of that spine. And we're going to take this on down to the diaphragm. That's going to be at the bottom of them ribs there. That's what separates your heart and lungs from your entrails. And we'll take it down to there, and you'll see it's kind of went past my tub. But once you get past the end of the diaphragm there, I can actually take that and just cut it and move on to the trap part. And you'll see we move this out of the way, and then I'm able to go in there and bring out the lungs and the heart and the esophagus and stuff. Now this goes back to what I was doing earlier when I was back there skinning. I scored that esophagus, and that made that all come out a little easier. So if you remember when you got it on its back, to score that esophagus and kind of expose it, and it'll make that process right there a whole lot easier. So now we're ready to kind of move it over closer to the cooler and split the beef, cutting it in half, and then we'll quarter the beef and put it in the cooler. Now we got it over there to the cooler, and now we're going to split him. And this is my Jarvis saw, and I bought this several years ago to split a beef, and I recommend this to anyone trying to split a beef. They make a size that's bigger than this, but this one's done everything I've ever had to have it do. And this is a huge beef, and it goes through it pretty even, and don't have much trouble. But with my hogs, it splits them perfectly, and it'll do a big beef. It just takes a little bit of time, and it'll split it right in half, and then we've got half a beef, and then we'll go from there and make a quarter of a beef to hang in my cooler. when you start sawing down through there, when your arm starts hitting that breastplate, just walk around to the back and finish it up right there. And like you can see, it just goes right through it. I recommend that Jarvis saw to anybody. And like I said, there's one bigger than this, and that's the next one down. And there you go, you got a half a beef. But there ain't a man there that can pick up a half a beef. Especially get it in my cooler door. So I've got to cut it in quarters. And we're going to make a cut between the 12th and 13th rib. And what that is that'll leave one rib on the rump and the loin. There'll be one rib left there. And so that's where I'm going to make this incision right here. Now we're getting ready to carry this rib and chuck section in, and I'm going to make a cut down on the bottom for them to be able to kind of grab, and it's between the 5th and 6th rib, and that's where your T-bones end and your rib eyes begin, at that rib. So you'll see here when they go to start carrying it, I cut between the 5th and 6th rib, and that gives them kind of a handle to carry it into my cooler. All right, now they're ready to take hold of this chuck section, and I'll just go ahead and tell you that's a lot of weight. So you need a good young man like James there that's got a strong back and a weak mind, and he'll carry it in that cooler right there, and we'll get her hooked up. And I reached down there, you seen I made that cut for a handle. That's between the 5th and 6th rib. And I just take my time and cut it, and then we'll go into the cooler with it. And once again, just repeating the process between the 12th and 13th rib. And then they'll get over here and get a hold of it. And I'm going to cut them a spot between the 5th and 6th for a handle. And then we'll go into that section. And the chuck part's the hardest part. That chuck and rib section's heavy, but you're also low to the ground. But that's the best we can do with our situation. But where the rump and loin's up in the air there, you can get a hold of them and go with them pretty good. So here they are. You can see where I made that cut between the 5th and 6th rib, and they're going to go back in with this one. And if you'll notice on my chain there, I've actually got a hook with a hook and another hook. So I've daisy chained them down so you ain't got to pick it up so high, because it's just a quarter of a beef, so it's going to be up off the cooler floor. And now we carry in the loins and the rump, and they're in the cooler. And you can see there Matthew just grasped a hold of it with a bear hug, and we kind of go with it. And the rump's not as heavy as the chuck and rib, so you can kind of go on in with it. Oh, we got them hung, and then I like to come in here with a torch and just, boy, I've cut through them feet out there when I was legging the animal. I cut through the hair into it, so I like to kind of take my torch there and just hit the ends of them feet, just scorching that hair off. And that's just something I kind of like to do. And there you go, you've got a beef hung, quartered, and we'll let that hang in the cooler for 14 days, and then we'll work it up. And that's killing a beef. I hope this has been a help. I hope it'll encourage somebody to attempt to do it themselves.